We are live. Okay, guys, quick one today. I wanted to touch on menopause because more and more I'm having women approach me with regards to their weight gain, their middle age spread, which has come often as a result of or perceived result of menopause. Thank you for being here, Kelly. If you have any questions, by the way, just put them in the comments. I'll get back to you ASAP. So I'm having a lot of women approach me recently who have expressed concern with regards to weight gain, noticeably since menopause. Women who are perimenopausal, so they suspect that they're starting to enter menopause. And menopause typically is when we have gone 12 months without a menstrual cycle. And so that is something obviously to have a conversation with your OBGYN about, with your gynecologist, endocrinologist, so a hormone specialist. It's not my field of expertise, so I'm only sharing what I understand. I'm not going to go into this more sciencey biochemistry components of menopause itself because again I need to respect my scope of practice in order to serve you. So do ensure you have a good OBGYN, do ensure you have a good, I'm repeating myself, ensure you have a good endocrinologist to help you identify the signs and symptoms of menopause. If you think that may be you, then now is a great time to start having those conversations. I wanted to share what some women have a tendency to do versus what I would do if I were in their shoes. And what I see a lot of women do is they feel that they need to start fasting and do intermittent fasting when it comes to losing weight in general. And I notice the propensity towards doing that increases with age. So I'm noticing women in their 50s and 60s are much more likely to be engaging in intermittent fasting and trying intermittent fasting versus women in their 40s, women in their 30s. And whilst fasting can have its benefits if applied in circumstances that make sense for fasting, there can also be some downsides, and one of them being muscle loss, because not all weight loss is created equally, of course. When you lose weight, we want to ideally, for most people, lose fat, and this is why I measure people's body compositions, ascertain their body fat percentage, because this is what we want to reduce as time goes on. Muscle mass, as you probably know, is really challenging to build. It takes a lot of work, it takes a lot of effort, and it's absolutely the last thing that we want to lose because it is so tough to gain and build and work towards in the first place. So just because you've lost weight doesn't mean that you've lost fat, and I think it's really important for people to understand that there is a difference. Weight loss does not equal fat loss. Losing muscle is not a good thing, especially if you're in your 40s, especially if you're in your 50s, and particularly if you're in your 60s and above. There's nothing to beat your chest up and be proud about if you've lost muscle mass. That is only going to hinder your results. It's only going to further contribute to that noticeable middle age spread, that pouch, that mummy pouch that some others refer to and talk about. That is not going to help. So if you're listening to this and you're not perimenopausal yet, if you're in your 20s, 30s, early 40s, please build some muscle. And like, I really, really, really mean that because a lot of us are so focused on the next 30 days, the next 12 weeks, getting fit for summer. And that's all well and good, but we forget that your health is with you for forever. You have this brain, this mind, this body from the first day of your life until the last. And we need to take care of it for your whole existence, not just for the next 30 days. And certainly not for the next 12 weeks, and certainly not just for summer. So if you are perimenopausal or premenopausal, now is a great time to proactively build muscle if you haven't already, so that when, Mother Nature takes that next step, you are not in the position of really needing to build muscle. We don't want to lose muscle. Now, of course, naturally testosterone levels decline, and that decline is more noticeable when we get to the stage of menopause. But some of you may be surprised to find out naturally our testosterone levels start to decline from our late 20s to our late 30s, of course, everyone is a little bit different. So naturally, testosterone levels are going to decline from our late 20s, early 30s anyway. We just notice it more because there are more hormonal shifts and changes when we reach that point in time, which for some of us is going to be mid to late 40s, and some of us that's going to be in our 50s. So it's really, really important that we build muscle before then, and that, of course, we are getting enough protein. You've heard me talk about protein ad nauseum. The challenging thing that I wanted to add about intermittent fasting is it's going to be really hard to get enough protein into your diet if you only have an 8-hour eating window. 8 hours is not enough time to get 1.5 grams of protein per kilogram of what you weigh per day. I mean, most people find it very challenging to eat that in a quote unquote normal eating window in the first place. So to be trying to eat something as satiating, something as filling as protein, and to eat such a, noticeable volume of that in such a short space of time is going to be super challenging. This is the other downside to intermittent fasting. You don't have enough time to get enough protein, to get enough fiber. And fiber is going to have a really positive contribution to your gut microbiome. Now, we know a healthy gut microbiome is going to be pivotal in ensuring that your inflammation markers remain as low as possible. So a lot of that visceral fat, the fat in the midsection, that build up and accumulation that we see once we enter menopause. Now, of course, not everyone sees this. Everyone's journey is different, but it's a characteristic, a trait, a byproduct that we notice often enough that it gets mentioned and highlighted to me by the women who come to me looking for help, the women who want to get rid of that middle-age spread. They hate that accumulation of fat around their midsection. That buildup of visceral fat, by and large, is attributable to inflammation. So to manage inflammation, instead of adding more to your plate and putting everyone first and taking on board more challenges and starting more businesses, what we in fact need to do is reduce stress. And that often becomes a source of stress, trying to reduce stress. The catch-22 of that. How funny, huh? So what we can do is ensure our fiber intake is at a healthy level. I've not really spoken so much about fiber, though it is critical to, of course, healthy bowel movements, having, it can have a positive contribution towards your skin clarity. It helps us to feel full for longer. Again, contributes to a healthy gut microbiome, and that goes a long way in keeping inflammation at bay. So what is a healthy fiber intake? For most women, adult women, females, it's going to look like 25 grams per day, 20 to 25 grams per day, okay? So we need to start looking at food items such as legumes. If you digest legumes well, so such as beans, such as peas, that is going to be a great way to keep that gut inflammation down and have that healthy gut microbiome. Of course, vegetables are a great source as well. Berries. So a lot of people stop eating carbohydrates thinking that's a magic potion and magic pill. It absolutely is not. Of course, you still need carbohydrates. Please do not become keto Karen. F her, with all due respect, F keto Karen. You need to incorporate carbohydrates, and carbohydrates can be a great source of fiber, by the way. I mean, if we look at things such as, again, legumes, lentils, berries, unprocessed, grains can be a really excellent source. So that is going to go a long way in reducing the propensity, likelihood of seeing that middle-age spread, which, of course, we're trying to avoid as we enter menopause. Now, another thing I see all too often is women start to favor the gentler forms of exercise. And I understand the want and desire to take a slower pace and take a slower speed when it comes to movement and exercise. That's to be understood. If you have less testosterone, which is what we see in menopause, of course, we see a decline in estrogen and progesterone. We see an increase in the follicle stimulating hormone, the luteinizing hormone. what we can expect is that we don't feel as energetic, we don't feel as inclined to be jumping on top of things and moving at high speeds. That's completely understandable. Though, if your only form of exercise is yoga or Pilates, we gotta have a real chat right now, because you're not doing yourself any favor by avoiding lifting weights. And again, if you go back to the start of this live recording, one of the first things I talk about is the importance of building muscle. So we think that our metabolism slows down because we get older. No, what happens is naturally testosterone levels start to decline for women, our late 20s, early 30s, at a gradual pace. Now, that pace is going to be faster if you don't lift weights. Our testosterone is going to decline much more rapidly if you don't make an effort to keep muscle mass, okay? So as testosterone declines, we tend to see a decline in muscle mass. When we see a decline in muscle mass, your metabolism slows down. Why? Because muscle is very metabolically demanding. If you think about your weight being a pie chart, the bigger the slice of you that is muscle, the more energy you burn when you're standing still, twiddling your thumbs, scrolling on your phone, sleeping. You just burn more energy. So you owe it to yourself to build as much muscle mass as possible, so that, of course, when Mother Nature inevitably takes her course, you have an elevated, or at least a slightly higher metabolic rate than what you would if you weren't lifting weights. So I think that's important for people to know in general. Again, a lot of people just think, I'm getting older, so my metabolism is dropping. It's probably not as due to age as what you think it is. What's happening is testosterone decreases naturally for men and women. Now, if you don't make an effort to lift heavy shit, and if you don't make an effort to lift things, and I mean like 50, 60, 80 kilo, my clients lift that much. They're lifting their body weight more than their body weight for back squats, for deadlifts, and they're in their 40s. There's no reason why you can't be doing that, okay? So unless you do that, yes, your muscle mass is going to go down because you've done nothing about that. You've done nothing to build muscle or keep it. What do you expect? Your body doesn't keep muscle it doesn't need. It will just attribute it as being superfluous. It'll be like, what do I need all that muscle for? Off you go, and it will atrophy. No, it won't turn to fat. Muscle doesn't turn into fat, and fat doesn't turn into muscle. They're not interchangeable, okay? Fat is fat, muscle is muscle. Did I just blow your mind or what? So, of course, muscle, it's not kept by the body. The body doesn't need it. It goes bye-bye, see you later. And then because less of you is muscle, your metabolic rate starts to decline. And that's when you think your metabolism is sluggish and slowing down because you've gotten older, but actually it's because you didn't make any effort to lift weights and you made no effort to eat protein. And again, I have talked ad nauseum about protein and getting enough protein. For someone who's 60 kilograms, you need 90 kilograms of, 90, not 90 kilograms. My God, that's like more than an elephant. Is it? No, an elephant weighs a ton. Anyway, that's too much. You need 90 grams of actual protein a day. Okay, not 90 grams of chicken breast, 90 grams of actual protein a day. So, long story short, build muscle. And when I say build muscle, I mean like actually lift something heavy. Don't just do yoga and Pilates. It's nice to de-stress, which is another thing you should be doing when entering menopause. Be aware of your stress levels. Manage your stress through adaptogens, through supplements such as ashwagandha, maca, ginseng, donchi, evening primrose, palm palmetto, zinc are all excellent. I did mention evening primrose, DIMS, so diindolylmethicone, fish oil can all really help. They all have a slightly different purpose and will help in different ways. Though at the end of the day, if you're not ticking the foundation boxes, meaning lifting and getting protein and getting fiber and managing stress, then you can't expect much to change, okay? So the hormone levels obviously fluctuating and changing at an accelerated rate during menopause. They're the things that you can do to help that. So go to Pilates and yoga to manage stress, to be mindful, to connect with your body, and lift heavy weights 3 times a week. Okay, that should be your bare minimum. Eat enough protein to support building of muscle and keeping your metabolism firing at an elevated and accelerated and healthy rate. Ensure you're managing stress, getting enough sleep. Fats are great for healthy hormone levels. So, evening primrose oil, fish oil, or oily fish if you like oily fish. And you can also look towards things like ginseng, different forms of ginseng to help you supplement. They can all go a long way in helping. Fiber for a healthy gut, keeping inflammation at bay, or at least trying to mitigate too much inflammation, which again is going to be a contributing factor to that quote unquote middle age spread. So, looking at your inflammation markers, what contributes to inflammation, things like smoking, drinking, staying up late all the time, stress, and stress, stress can be a number of different things and look different to different people. So, managing stress, and that can come from having a good diet, having healthy rest, hydration, and with supplements as well. But just doing the normal lifestyle things to help with that. Going for a big walk may help. And fasting, look, again, I think in certain circumstances, fasting can be a helpful tool, but they're the key words, helpful tool. It's not a quick fix to lose weight. And again, a lot of the weight loss we see from people who use intermittent fasting have actually lost muscle. And that's nothing to brag about, because as time goes on, as your testosterone levels naturally decline, it's only going to get harder to build muscle. It's only going to get harder to keep it. So fasting, look, only having an 8-hour window to get 1.5 grams of protein per kilogram of what you weigh, that's tough because protein is very, very, very satiating. I don't suggest this approach. If you're looking to prevent that middle age spread, I suggest giving yourself enough time to get enough protein in the day. And most people are not ticking that box. That's my 2 cents there. I hope you found this to be helpful. Again, I am not a hormone doctor. I am a high performance coach. I know bits and pieces about nutrition and exercise and optimizing your mindset for performance, as well as optimizing your body for performance. So this is a conversation that needs to be continued with an endocrinologist who, of course, is a hormone specialist, and an OBGYN. If you're just joining me now, make sure you go back to the start and watch from the beginning. If you have any questions, just reach out to me directly on Instagram. I'm at Team Laura Phillips, PHILLIPS. If you're watching on other platforms, you can find me on social media. Team Laura Phillips is my handle for the most part. So thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.